Are we live? Well, technically we're not live. We're on video today because we're in the car traveling, and we didn't want you to miss out on the last art lesson in July. So next week, I can't believe it is August, and so we will start again next Wednesday. But I promised a sea turtle, and can you tell Tate likes sea turtles? So, Tate, you want to show him your sea turtle? What's your sea turtle's name?
Bubbles.
Bubbles. I love that name for a sea turtle. So he wanted to bring Bubbles over for the drawing, and Tate and I are going to draw a sea turtle for you today. Now I'm going to try a little different method with Tate because a sea turtle is fairly symmetrical, meaning it's the same on one side as another. We're going to draw the sea turtle together. This is a great exercise for parents to do where they draw half and the child draws half. You're both learning and you kind of get to see how the other one works. So, you have your pencil? Okay, we're going to get started. So we've got our sea turtle, which is basically made up of flippers, kind of more where they could flap through the water. You can show on Bubbles if you want. And we've got their head, and of course, it's not a turtle if it doesn't have a shell. And then it has flippers back here. Obviously, it's got to make its way through the water. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark out this shell first. Notice a couple things. It's more a teardrop shape. It comes to a point right here, and it's rounded up there. So Tate, if I start here and come down to a point, wait, let me do this. I'm going to start here and come down to a point. Can you start up here? And I kind of went wonky on there. Yep. And come all the way down to the point. That way we start with the shell. Anytime you're drawing a turtle, I would advise starting with the shell because that's the biggest part of the body. Then you can make the flippers. Are they called flippers? We're going to have to get Keaton to look that up for us. I always learn so much when I'm doing these drawing lessons. So, well, let's draw those flippers. I'm going to draw one on this side. See how it comes up like this, kind of comes up. So we're going to come up on this side. You can watch me draw, babe, or you can do it with me. You can draw with me or after me. It's whichever one. So we kind of come out like this and come down. Kind of reminds me, yeah, that looks great, T. Okay, so we've got a shell. Keaton, do you know what these are actually called? Are they called flippers? I was trying to remember in Finding Nemo if they said, you know, Finding Nemo, the scientific fact movie. All drains lead to the ocean. Okay, so down here, we're going to call these flippers until Keaton Googles this for us. Let's go ahead and put those down here too. Okay. Kind of rounded like that. We're going to block out everything and then we'll start adding the detail. So I'm going to draw the head up here. So we're going to go ahead and it comes up like this. We're going to just make it go up like that. It's in between the two flippers and it's got a little bit of an eyeball right here. So let's come around, and you don't see that eye because it's on the other side the way it's shaped. We'll put that other eye in. And it almost looks like a little beak, a little overbite there. So we're going to come down like that, and we'll bring that mouth in. See, we've come up this way.
They're called flippers.
They are called flippers. We were spot on. High five, T. Okay. And then we've got his little mouth like an underbite, or right there, and his neck comes back down. So we'll go ahead and add his eye. His eye, we're going to add that eyelid on there. Right there. And so it looks like a little moon.
It looks like he's happy when he doesn't have an eyeball.
Oh, he looks already like he's happy. And we'll add that in, and you can color part of that. Don't color the whole thing black because it'll just look like it's glistening. So we'll put that in. So pretty much, pretty quickly, we've got the shell. We've got the flippers, and we've got our bottom little flippers. Notice these are a lot bigger than these right here. So what I noticed when I was studying the sea turtle to draw it, on the shell, there's kind of some plates that go in the back. So what I'll do is I'll draw let's draw this little rim right there. There's a rim around it, which is just a line inside of the one we drew before. So I'll start at the same place, Tate, and I'm going to come down. See how I'm drawing that just inside that line right there, and we'll meet together right down at the bottom.
Did you know sea turtles don't have a favorite food?
Sea turtles do not have a favorite. Will they eat anything in the ocean? I didn't know that. What do they eat?
Most eat jellyfish.
Jellyfish. Well, that sounds kind of gross. Can people eat jellyfish? So
I think there's like jellyfish noodles.
there's jellies like gummies. I'll eat gummy fish, Swedish fish. I'll eat those.
I think there's jellyfish noodles.
Jellyfish noodles. I haven't heard of those. Okay, so right here, what I was talking about is it's as though the plates, it's almost like an armor. The shell is an armor for the turtle. And so it's as though these plates come down the back. So I'm going to draw one right here at the top, and then we'll just draw that center. And you notice how the lines will come off here. It's kind of the neat thing on the turtle shell. If you draw the center right here, then you can just build it off. So, and notice they kind of come out to these points and round down there and overlap on top of each other. So we start at the top, and it's just kind of that end point right there. And then the next one would kind of come like this, out to 2 points right there, and then round out down there. Do you want to try and draw the next one, Tate? So come out to 2 points, round down. There we go. Do you want to do the next one? If we come out to a point, and then round down, and I'll meet you down there. There you go, like that. And then we're going to come down to the bottom right here. So let's come down right here like that. So we've got our center. Now don't worry, you could pause this at any time because it's a video. But even when we do them live, we still post into Facebook and my YouTube channel, Kisa Houseman. So you can catch those on there if you miss it. The other thing is we're just doing a drawing today, but that doesn't mean you can't add color, because sea turtles are beautiful colors, greens and blues and all sorts of fun things. So you can get really crazy with this. After we're done, grab your markers, crayons, watercolors, and go to town, and then I'd like to see them. So then you notice these come out as though the armor continues. So we're going to take those points, we're going to come all the way to the end of the shell. You want to do it on your side, Tate? So take them all the way to the end of the shell. Yep. And you've got the sea turtle back. So we're missing one little detail on the shell. What do you think it is? Can you study the picture? Oh, all around that little edge, as though the edge of the shell has these little flanges. So all these are, to create this in a drawing, is we just need to do our lines. But our lines don't just go straight out. We give them a little bit of a curve. So kind of, you want to start up here? Yep, just like Tate did. You give them a little bit of a curve, and you just put them around as we go. The curve gives it that rounded edge feel. So.
Did you know sea turtles cannot retract into their shells?
Oh, they can't go under their shells? So sea turtles can't, you know how the turtle goes inside its shell as protection? They cannot go inside their shell. I didn't know that. There we go, all around our edge. That looks great, Tate.
Did you know they can hold their breath for 5 hours underwater?
A sea turtle can hold its breath for 5 hours. Does it have special lungs or a way to breathe? So, but they do need to come up out of the water then to get a breath. Are you a sea turtle now? Okay, so we've got the basic. Remember what we did here. We did the shell first, a big teardrop with the point down here. We did the flippers that are pretty big and come out in kind of this crescent shape. And then we did the flippers down here. Then we added the head with the eyes. Then we came down and we did the plates down the back and allowed for those points to give us a way to come over here. So that way we end up having all those things together. Then we added our ridges all the way around. So Tate went to get water. We are visiting family, and that's why we're going to be driving back home. And we are in the Northeast, and it is very hot today. So we have fans on us, and I hope if where you are, if it's really hot, you have air conditioning, because right now we don't. So I drink lots of water if you don't. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, which, speaking of water, we've got a sea turtle. So,
Did you know they have an excellent sense of direction?
well, don't they in Finding Nemo? Keaton said they have an excellent sense of direction. And don't they all follow the sea turtles and they bring them back? Okay, so another thing, what they have is they have kind of a scaly looking body, which can be really, really pretty. It's got all these shapes and circles. So, and it also has this ridge on the end of their flippers. So let's go ahead and do that. It's kind of like this, Tate. Can you do the ridge on there?
Are turtles reptiles or mammals?
Are turtles amphibians or reptiles? They're reptiles. Okay, let's draw a line along here. And we're only going to do it on that outside edge right there. And we're just following our line we did at the beginning. So, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add those ridges there with that little bit rounded edge. Excellent job, Tate. Get that rounded edge. Okay, all the way to the tip. So we've kind of created that bone or that ridge as it pushes against the current. It's got that ridge on the edge of the flipper where it can go really fast. So back here, it's got that skin, and the way we're going to represent that is we're going to put not quite circles, but a circle type shape. We're going to make them where they kind of are almost a rounded shape, but it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. So what I would do is I'm going to follow along here, and I'm going to add about 10 larger circles. So Tate, you want to do the same over there? We're just going to kind of scatter them. You draw the larger ones first. And they don't have to be perfect. In fact, if they're a little wonky, they'll look more realistic. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll add 8. I'll add 9.
In order to hold their breath for 5 hours, they slow their heart rate up to 9 minutes between heartbeats to conserve oxygen.
Wow. So they slow their heartbeat way down so that they conserve their oxygen. Okay, so now we're going to add some extra ones in there that are just smaller, and they fill the space. Maybe we add 10 more of those. There's not really, 10 is not a magic number. It's just kind of thinking of enough that are going to give me that impression. And you can add a few more in. You're just trying to scatter it around and have different size circles. We'll come back and we'll add some shading in there, but we've got that same idea down here. So let's do these. And we do quite a few less because it's a lot smaller. So just start with a few big ones.
Did you know turtles cry?
Turtles cry? Oh, that kind of makes me sad. Why do they cry?
To get salt out of their eyes.
Oh, okay. They're just getting the salt out of their eyes. Okay, this is looking great. So now we have one more spot. We need some skin. Where do you think? On the head. Do you want to do it for me, or you want me to do it? Okay, I'm going to take it on. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to follow around there. Tate's going to hold on to Bubbles and check it out. Tate loves turtles of all kinds. He wants a turtle very badly. So, okay, put a little nose right on there. So now we're going to get to a little bit of shading. again, if you're going to be adding a lot of color, you can add some of this, or you can do this with your color. So what I'm going to do is anywhere there's a connection, so a little corner, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to darken that area up. I did this with the seahorse too, because both of these animals are similar in that we've got kind of some plates or some bones or things like that. But anytime you come into where these connect and you're darkening them up, that way you get that little bit of edge. So okay, I'm going to go around and do this. Did I lose my helper? Are you too hot? Do you need a break?
Did you know a turtle shell is actually part of its skeleton?
Well, that's interesting. So it's like inside out. A turtle's kind of inside out in a way.
And it's made up of over 50 bones.
Wow, so a turtle shell is actually like bones. That's why it's so strong. I don't know that I've ever seen a sea turtle in real life. I was trying to think about that. I've seen regular turtles, like snapping turtles and, land turtles. I don't know if I've ever seen one. Has anyone ever seen a sea turtle in real life? Are sea turtles nice to humans? That's the question. Are they nice or are they mean? Let's look that one up. Can you go swim with sea turtles somewhere? Okay, so you kind of come in and you can do that, and you can darken that as you need to, shading anywhere in there. That's when you're thinking of shading, again, you're making areas that overlap or are behind to connect. Tate, you want to come over and help me shade the flippers over here? And then we're pretty much going to let them get to coloring. So let's start down here. Obviously, by the shell, we're going to shade right up against the shell because we want it to be darker. Now you can draw right over your circles. The other thing you can do is darken up inside the circles so they can be a little darker, and see how, and you don't have to fill the whole thing in. You'll get kind of that feel and that look right in there. That looks great, T. Okay. So you get that look. The other thing is we'll do the same thing up here. You want to help me on the head? Give it a little shadow right there.
Can you put designs on the turtle shell?
He just asked if you can put designs on the turtle shell. Yes. Why not? You could create patterns on here. You could do a technique called Zentangle, which is where you put your pen down and you go out in consecutive movements, not lifting your pen up. You could create all sorts of patterns and designs on there. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is, did you bring the markers over here because you want to add some color? Tate's going to add some color up here on this flipper, and I'm going to add some shading down here, and I'll let you watch him and I'll talk about what I'm doing. So we're going to do the same thing here where we come in under the, right against the shell, and we're going to darken that up because the shell's on top. So we're always shading where anything goes below, behind, where a shadow would be cast. Shading shadows. So Tate is going to use Crayola markers. I love water-based markers, and just a few tips. You can always take a brush and water when you're using water-based markers and turn them into watercolors. Another tip that we often share, which we love, is when your markers are out, they are not out. Stick them point side down without their caps on into a shallow jar of water. You can put as many that are out that are in the same color or similar color group, and it'll make a liquid watercolor. Let them sit about 4 days or so, make sure the water doesn't evaporate, and then just take that and throw the rest of the markers away and paint them. I think you can also recycle them back to where they go, Crayola. So I'm going to shade right up against the shell there. And notice I'm just coloring over the dots because I can also darken those up. Okay? So come in just like that. Okay. Now I can shade just along this little ridge and get that look there. Now Tate, where are you going with that? He's outlined that in green, and then I think he's going to come back with another color. So, are you adding patterns or shading within? So, we'll let him keep going. And then I'm going to come along and add a little bit of shading right here, and we are almost done. And I bet you are like Tate, you're anxious to get the colors out because a sea turtle to me looks like it should have some colors on it. So I'm just putting a little bit of shadow in there, and then you can put it underneath there. Again, you can go to town on this shading. You can really get in and get really realistic, you know, coming in and really shading along. Now when I'm shading, I also try to go from darkest to light as I go on out. Ooh, I like that where Tate's putting the color in. Tate, if you grab some water real fast, a jar of water, will show them how it turns into watercolor, if you want to show them that. And so you can come along any of these, again, making them darker as we go. Right, darker where you're right up against, and then you shadow it out. So anything along those lines gives you more dimension, but shading's always, we're taking our dark and we're feathering it out. So you want to grab a brush with that water, and you want to show how you can turn that into watercolor. Okay, yeah. No, just bring the brush and the water, Pumpkin. Do you want me to do it, or you want to try it? Okay, so all you need is plain water, and if I come over here, watch what happens. I can move that color, including that green, right there in there. My paper might not work quite as well, but see that green will come out and you can blend that in. So that's a way, if you just have markers, go ahead and color right in here. I'm going to show you a tip. Do you mind if I show you? Do you mind if I color on here? Is that okay? Okay. When you're coloring with a marker, you can color with the tip to outline, like Tate's doing. And when you're filling in wide spaces, use the side of your marker to fill in like that. And then, if you want to go with the watercolor, you can just move it on out and spread it out like that. So I'm going to let you keep drawing and coloring. I'm going to let you keep drawing and coloring. That pretty much gives us everything we need to make a sea turtle, except maybe the sea. So this is your chance to add bubbles. Haha, did you get that? See what I did there? And you can add other turtles. You can add sea plants, seaweed, coral, whatever you think, and create a home for your sea turtle to live in. With that note, I'm going to let Tate keep going because this is going to look great when it's colored in. And you too can add some color now. Have fun with that. Are we done? You ready to say bye, or are you too busy coloring? He's too busy coloring. I hope you are too. Art is man's nature. Nature is God's art. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.